Let's talk about some Pittsburgh Steelers football. We'll start with a name that has been tossed out there for the Pittsburgh Steelers to approach, to sign in free agency, a landing spot to join Joey Porter Jr. That is former or current, I guess, Kansas City Chiefs cornerback L'Jarius Sneed. This is not the first time that the Pittsburgh Steelers have been linked to this guy or named a landing spot for the elite. I want to keep calling him an all-pro because I think we expected him to make the all-pro team. He didn't make an all-pro team, but just a top-tier free agent cornerback out there, L'Jarius Sneed. You hear that one. You look at his market value, you look at what he's done, you look at who and where the Pittsburgh Steelers currently stand on defense. What are your thoughts when you saw that list and you saw the Steelers sitting there at number 2 right behind the Kansas City Chiefs?
Well, when you look at a guy like this, you kind of work through a couple different layers of it. You start with like his production, you start with what he's done, like how good is he. Then you move to, and L'Jarius Sneed obviously checks a ton of boxes. He is a very good player and he's young.
Yes.
Then you move to, okay, he's a free agent this year. And then you move to like his, you kind of go by the estimated market value on over the cap. I think you and I both use that quite a bit. And it's a hefty price tag, what they expect him to get paid. But then you kind of move to what the Steelers have to play with, what kind of money they have to work with and who they might have to pay, potentially who they might have to cut or get rid of. And to be quite honest, looking at everything that the Steelers have, looking at who L'Jarius Sneed is, what kind of money he might command, it's not – I think I looked at it initially as, oh, this is absurd. The Steelers do not have enough room to make a splash like this. It's just not going to work out. But, I mean, the Steelers don't have I think they have room for it. I don't think they have a ton of other places where they would need to invest a ton of money in free agency. And so I think that makes me comfortable taking a swing on a guy like this, on a guy like L'Jarius Sneed. And I mean, I think like Jalen Johnson from the Bears is a free agent. He's going to kind of command the same kind of value. And like, so this, I think cornerback is a position that I'm really comfortable taking a big swing on in free agency, even for a number like, close to $15 million, maybe even a little bit more. Over the cap estimates 14.9 thereabouts for L'Jarius Sneed. Excuse me. And I'd be comfortable taking a swing like that on a guy who, like I said, is not just young, but really good and really young.
Yeah, I agree. I think where the Pittsburgh Steelers stand, they got to re-sign some guys. The quarterback is going to play a pretty significant role in what they do this offseason, but let's just eliminate that factor. If you're looking at everything else, I mean, what do the Pittsburgh Steelers have to go out and sign? They got to find another offensive tackle. They got to find a center. I think you can find both of those things in the NFL draft. You got to sign a safety or figure out the safety position, but I think you have options there. I also think Patrick Peterson is an option there. If you're going to toss cornerback out there and you're going to spend money somewhere, I'm okay with it being the guy that works next to or opposite of Joey Porter Jr., and you might as well shoot for the stars. Like if you're gonna go get a corner and you're the Pittsburgh Steelers, don't go get another Levi Wallace. Don't go get another Patrick Peterson. Go get a L'Jarius Sneed. Go get a Jalen Johnson. Go get somebody who is top of the list, who makes your defense elite more than it already is. I think that fits the bill perfectly, and I think it's the position. Like if we were talking about, the Steelers should sign this inside linebacker, like, I mean, maybe, I guess, but I'm not into spending a whole ton of money on inside linebacker, and I think that a corner, I think having a shutdown corner is something the Pittsburgh Steelers maybe have never had, or 2 shutdown corners is maybe something the Pittsburgh Steelers have never had, at least not in my lifetime. To be able to have that along with TJ Watt and Alex Highsmith and Keanu Benton and Larry Ogunjobi and possibly Cam Hayward, I mean, that's as good as it gets with Minkah Fitzpatrick playing free safety, and then you go get another safety somewhere where you don't have to spend as much money. That works out very well for where the Steelers sit. Are you comfortable with that $15 million, $16 million a year? Are you going and searching, last year Cam Sutton signed for 11. Are you searching for a Cam Sutton type player at 11? I don't know what the list looks like. I'll pull it up now, but are you searching there, or are you shooting for the stars going $15, $16 million for a guy like L'Jarius Sneed, who is 27 years old?
Right. Well, look, this is the thing. Like, I was looking through that list of free agent cornerbacks available this offseason, and I would love a player like Cam Sutton, who you could sign for $11 million, and a guy who is not maybe not elite, but pretty damn close to it, like a contender for a Pro Bowl spot possibly. But I don't know if a guy like that exists. I mean, just looking up and down the list of names that I saw, I'm not sure. Yeah, where you find a guy like that. So that'd be ideal. I'm just not sure if he's out there this offseason. And maybe they're just names that I'm not aware of, but I did not see one of those guys on the list of cornerback free agents available in this class. I don't know if you see something different, but
I don't know if I do. I don't know if I do. Here's a question. Are you considering bringing somebody back? Say you don't get L'Jarius Sneed, or say you're not shooting for L'Jarius Sneed, and a Ahkello Witherspoon, a Steven Nelson, who has been a stud in Houston, and maybe these guys re-sign with their current teams, but let's just say best case scenario, they are on the market for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Are you thinking about a guy like Witherspoon? Are you thinking about a guy? Steven Nelson's 31 years old, but that dude's a stud, and he's only gotten better with age. Are you thinking about those guys? Are you considering a guy in the conference like an Awuzie, a Chidobe Awuzie out of Cincinnati, who is only 28 years old? Are you thinking maybe re-sign, maybe go with a familiar face? Or are you saying, no, not worth it, doesn't meet what you'd have to make, or there's still too much of a gap between them and where you could be?
Well, I just think if you're re-signing, if you're bringing a guy back like a Steven Nelson or even like a Desmond King, maybe, I believe he's a free agent.
He's more of a slot guy though.
Yeah,
which, I mean, still works, but not doesn't fix your problems.
Right, but I mean, so either way, I think I would be more comfortable taking more of a home run swing, to be quite honest with you. I think this defense has gotten by kind of being built piecemeal and being done a little bit on the cheap around your big stars like Minka, Kim, and TJ. But I think I don't know. I just feel like this is an offseason where the Steelers are going to think bigger and kind of swing for the fences a little bit more. And I think it's something that they have to do. I feel like we're kind of past the days where you can feel comfortable saying, oh, well, we got good value for this guy, we made a kind of steal in free agency. I think you've got to pay top dollar for top talent. And like I said, there's not, like, corner is really the only position you really have to do that at. You're pretty set at almost every other level of the defense. I'm like, especially if you sign a corner and then you feel comfortable moving Pat Pete back to safety. Like, I love that move too. So I that's what makes me more comfortable with taking a big swing and a big shot at a guy like a Jalen Johnson or a L'Jarius Sneed over maybe trying to do this a little cheaper.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think depending on who that name was, and I was a big Ahkello guy, and I'm a huge Steven Nelson guy. That guy's a stud, and I think he got such the short end of the stick in Pittsburgh, and where he is now, I'm like super grateful that he was able to turn his career into what it is. I'm still shooting for the stars. Like, go young, go big, get a guy where you don't have to worry about it anymore. I think that's where the Steelers should be, is stop trying to plug holes and fix holes, and just go out there and get the guys that fix the holes, and you don't have to worry about that position. You signed L'Jarius Sneed for 4 years. You have Joey Porter Jr. for another 3 years. You don't have to worry about that position for another 3 years. Like, you're sitting around and then you re-sign Joey Porter Jr. and then you make a decision on what you're doing outside of L'Jarius Sneed, because at that point he's like 31 years old, and if you keep him cheap, cool. If you go out and get somebody else or you draft somebody, cool. But at that point, that cornerback cycle, now you have a cycle. Now you have, okay, we could just keep on living the lifespan of these cornerbacks and not having to worry about it and sit around and build other positions like inside linebacker, like safety, like finding a defensive tackle to replace Cam Hayward, or a defensive end to replace Larry Ogunjobi whenever that deal is up. Like, you could focus on other needs, other areas, instead of having to go into every offseason and say, okay, well, we have to sign a DeMonte KZ and a Miles Jack and a Landon Roberts and a Quan Alexander and a Cole Holcomb and a Montrevious Adams and a Larry Ogunjobi and all these guys, because every year you just sign guys to technically 2 or 3 year deals, but there's an out after the 1 year because you're just not certain that that's going to work out. This is an opportunity to, I think, avoid that. So I'm all there for you. L'Jarius Sneed would be a big one. Jalen Johnson would be a big one too. I don't think he's going to leave Chicago, especially after Chicago kind of turned things around at the end of the season. I think that definitely hurt the Pittsburgh Steelers' chances. But if it's out there, I mean, I'm going to get Jalen Johnson. I'm going to get L'Jarius Sneed. I'm cool with either of those guys. I think it is go big or go home. Would you consider a first-round corner over one of these guys, over signing somebody?
Ooh. No, just because I don't know. I don't think the corner talent, at least from, my limited research that I've done, is as good as maybe like the offensive tackle or the offensive or like the center talent or the linebacking.
Center talent's good.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so I think I'm going one of those positions, like inside linebacker too. I'd put that up there over a corner in the first round. Like, I think,
which is where you're going to have to find somebody like that.
Right. So I think I'm thinking big, they're big shining stars in my mind right now. It's not I want something big. I want a splash,
Yeah, I agree. I think if you could go get a tackle, I think you're going to spend less money at that position anyways and take less risk. Like you could go out and sign a right tackle and be like, oh, okay, cool, that was a good move. It could also not work out and you just spent $20 million on a guy or $15 million on a guy that you're like, I don't know what's going to happen. And the last time the Pittsburgh Steelers did that, it clearly did not work out in their favor. So I agree. Go draft another guy. Go get somebody to run with Broderick Jones and fill your offensive line through the draft. And that's how I think that's the best way to do it, is to fill an offensive line through the draft. Defense, you could get some studs. Defensive players are made, and L'Jarius Sneed could be one of them. I agree with that one.